Thank you for joining us today at Miniature Wargaming Labs, where today we'll be looking at the CyberpunkRed Gen Red Street Artist miniature, manufactured by Monster Fight Club. Now, when you order this miniature, you're going to get a cardboard box. This little guy is going to be in his bag in there, no fancy packaging. And you're going to get, not assembly instructions, but, I mean, look at it, it's just one model, you don't really need them. You'll just get this assembly warning, so read this first, about how to work with your model. Alright, let's go ahead and get this guy together. Alright, so we put this little guy together. Really not much putting together. He's all one solid piece. You glue him onto his base. Now, I have a copy of Reality's Edge in background because I enjoy this game. The whole reason I bought into the CyberpunkRed models was because they were just dead on for some of the artwork. Now, with these children models that Monster Fight Club's putting out for the Cyberpunk range, that's not depicted in Reality's Edge. However, they make good background characters. Especially this little guy. You can just set him up on the board. It's just a decorative piece. Have him up against the wall tagging and see if you bump into him or whatever. He might be loaded, you never know. But very happy with this model here as an atmosphere piece, but just reminds me of LA Days of the West Side Artists out there. I think he captures that vibe pretty well. So you can decorate some buildings there, and he's only $5. So when you buy most sets of CyberpunkRed, you might be buying 2 models for $15 or 5 models for $30. So you're looking at a $6 to $750 price range. This guy's $5. So $5, I was already buying some, throw them in the box, not paying any extra in shipping and handling. Great little atmosphere piece. But, so when I started Reality's Edge, the book recommends 28 millimeters, so I played 28 millimeters. But I used Anvil Industry. So Anvil Industry is a 28 millimeter heroic scale model line that you can customize a lot of the miniatures to fit whatever weapons loadout you need. But next to the CyberpunkRed models, they're the same height. So a child is the same height as an adult, which you've seen. That happens in reality, but it's not what I'm looking for on the board. So I was looking at, could I fit these kids in with Fallout? Yes, they're shorter. They are a little bit beefier, but he's wearing a big, thick jacket. Probably Raiders. So it could work in Fallout. But where this line really shines is in the 35 millimeter range. Batman in the Batman miniatures game that Night Models put out. And this would actually be a really great character because you imagine, you know, before your guys fighting, just having someone in the background tagging up Gotham City. So this would work really well in Night Models games. Now, let's compare it to MCP. Now, normally when you look, CyberpunkRed is 35 millimeter, MCP is 40 millimeter. The size difference is noticeable, just as putting these things next to 28 millimeters is noticeable. However, since this is the model of a child, this would really work very well in their depictions of Manhattan. I mean, got a kid in the city tagging up somewhere, maybe in West Chelsea. But since they're a kid, the size difference between 35 and 40 millimeters doesn't matter because he's supposed to be shorter than Captain America. So it really works in both the 35 and 40 millimeter range just because it's supposed to be a child. Now let's compare this to some of the adults models from CyberpunkRed. And you know what? It works just fine. This is a teenager. Height comes in properly. And we'll just compare it to a couple of the other models from the other children's line. And you can see these were probably designed and sculpted at the same time. They probably just didn't want to put a 6th character in their bag. They just broke him out on his own. But otherwise, it's a good, for $5, it's a good background piece to add a little atmosphere to your games of Reality's Edge, any of your Cyberpunk games, Batman, Marvel. So, it's a really good purchase. Alright, thank you for joining us at Miniature Wargaming Labs, and we'll see you next time.